Guys and dolls, so what a day. What an amazing day. I've done a video of how blue the sky was this morning, but it seems we've got the old lines coming in again. But you can see the blueness. We'll see how it changes. But yeah, I just want to talk about Northern Ireland. Dodgy subject to talk about. It's like, don't know where my head will go with this video. But I want to have a wee look and analyse a wee bit with you, just looking at stuff logically, of where do we go? Where do we go from this? What's going on? Why are things happening? Etc. etc. So I think I'll start the video just by talking about what I know straight away, what I see. So I seen a small gathering of patriots, both Catholics and Protestants, coming together symbolically with flags, so. And then on the other side we see a huge turnout of foreigners and Irish guys, Northern Irish guys, that profess to welcome all refugees and that, and sort of things, message is getting lost a wee bit, it's, we're not saying refugees aren't welcome, it's the calibre of men that's coming over, it's not women and children, and we see Northern Irish people see what's going on in England, and the attack on the church, and churches being turned into mosques, and people being arrested for preaching on the street, and Easter getting taken out of primary schools, and even schools in Scotland aren't celebrating Christmas in the school anymore. And they see hardly any decorations for Christmas in London, but we're the only country in the world to celebrate Ramadan in a festive, Christmassy way. So this is what the people of Northern Ireland are seeing, the patriots that you see standing there with the tricolours and the red-handed Ulsters and Union Jacks. And the people on the other side don't seem to care. They don't seem to care about none of that. The most important thing to them is that anybody comes into the country, and as many people come into the country, and if you don't agree with that, you're automatically far right or a racist, and that's what we have, 110%. So the people who want uncontrolled immigration into Northern Ireland, they seem to be trade unionists mostly, all the usual trade unionist flags. So it's pretty well funded, guys, and it'll be people that's in. If you're paying money into a trade union, that's where your money's going. It's going to counter demonstrate against patriots who are trying to protect their children. I also believe, looking at them yesterday, spent a lot of time going through footage, and it's quite clearly to see that I don't think many of them have children. And I know a lot of people do think that I say this and it's just like me trying to get content or trying to say something strange and unusual, but I would really like to see the statistics of that, guys. They all look like cat lovers to me, and there's no two ways about it. They don't look like they're invested in this country. They don't care what happens to this country. And there's another party as well that I truly believe what drives these people. They see right-wing people, anybody that's trying to protect their children, they see them as, in their head, the kids in school that were quite loud, were quite popular, you know what I'm saying. It was like, I do believe there's a part of these people that have been bullied, and they think for some reason the patriots represent their bullies in some way, and anything that we want, anything that we're driving for, they're going to go against it. And it is, to be honest with you, it is, guys, it is constructed and planned, and there is collusion with the government, without a doubt. A lot of efforts put in to get these trade unionists and foreigners onto the streets of Belfast to counter-protest the patriots, the nationalists and the unionists, So that's concerning, But on the flip side of that, right, so There's also a problem with actually getting the word out. It seems to be a lot of people are scared to advertise any protest bar Tommy Robinson's, which I totally understand. Tommy Robinson's are well organised, safe, good security, and sorry, it's getting a wee bit windy here, guys. I'm going to cut this off until I get up into this wee bit up here. Guys and dolls, I'll turn this around a wee bit. Got my gloves on. A wee bit nippy, but it's nice, really nice. So basically, guys, where were we? We were at we got the two sides sorted out. So what's going on in the original demo? The people that pulled this demo together, what's going on? Why is there so few people there? So let's look at each side of the community, because this is a demo which is calling both sides of the community together. Why is there such a small turnout? Do people not want peace, you know? So I'm going to look into it for you. I'm not looking into it, analyse it with my head and what's in here, you know? And so we'll take the Protestant side for starters. Let's get that out of the way, because that's a tricky one, you know? That's a tricky one for me, because I only come up with one conclusion, and that is loyalist Protestants in Northern Ireland absolutely terrified of a united Ireland and losing the 6 counties. And it's a fear that's so deep, and you know, people have been unalived. You know, I'm quite sure people are thinking about doing all sorts to me. That's how deep it is. It's you know, there's a fear there, guys. You know, because we know we can't. There's no more violence, guys. There's no more paramilitaries. Either you'll get people whacking people here and there, but that's it. There's no more organised terrorist organisations in Northern Ireland are going to operate without the British intelligence services and the Irish intelligence services knowing about it. That's the way it is now, with cameras and CCTVs and ring doorbells and phones and smart TVs and smart computers and, you know, everything with a camera on it. They can take over it, you know, and even though they can't use it in court, they can still use it to gather intelligence. You know, so yeah, that's a big problem for Unionists and Loyalists and Protestants in Northern Ireland. And I do believe that, you know, these type of demos puts that at risk. And what's the answer? The answer is awareness, education, knowledge. The answer is sitting down and at least talking to these people, at least talking about what a future might look like without the union. You know, what are they going to give up? You know what I mean? If you just don't know what's ahead. And my message to all Protestants and Unionists and Loyalists is like, you know, our children are the most important thing to us. We're all Christians. We're all aware of that now. It's not like we've any excuse. It's not like the 60s and the 70s when we were just word of mouth from everybody and all the madness that was being said about Roman Catholics and all that. And, you know, we're smarter now because of the internet. It's a knowledge explosion. You can research and Google anything you want. You know, and it's been a long time since there's been any trouble, and you got to look back and have a wee bit of respect for the men that we were fighting against. And I know it's difficult, but if it came back, the respect came back, and the acknowledgement, you know, maybe there might be a future. You know, maybe one day the union mightn't be what it's cracked up to be. Maybe one day you'll find yourself looking at the union and thinking, you know what, my children are at risk here. And how far are you going to go? How far are you going to put your children at risk because of a bit of land, bit of border, bit of history? You know what I mean? The troubles. Something can be done. There can be deals done. There can be a coming together with an understanding. Whether it be a completely new country, a new flag, new everything, you know, the possibilities are there. And I'm going to tell you this, guys, if you don't start doing this and start talking like this, our kids will. Our kids are going to do it. Well, if you think it's tough now, if you guys think it's tough now, trying to operate, trying to fly below the radar. Imagine what it's going to be like for our kids when it's a digital ID, facial recognition everywhere, no cash. I think it's tough now. You know, this is the end almost of crime. You know, unless you know your way about digital stuff, internet stuff, like a genius. So yeah, so let's look at. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think I've said enough there. I'm sorry about the sun. It's right there. So Republicans, Catholics, Nationalists, Northern Ireland, what's going on there? Why aren't they coming out? So we know why the prods aren't coming out, because they don't want to start something like that because they fear losing the union, because it seems to be worth so much right now to them, you know. And like I say, I'm not hanging. I'm being talking logical. I'm not happy about none of this, but I'm telling you what's ahead of you. I'm trying to warn you all now. You know, I know what's coming. I can see it. Maybe not in our time, but our kids' times. And if you're still going to push this bigotry and hatred constantly down your children's and grandchildren's throats, they're going to stand alone in the future. Please believe me. It's not good, guys. It really isn't good. I love every single one of you. I love my country. I love everything I stand for. I love my religion. But please, you got to listen to me. So, Catholics, what's going on there? We'll go down this way. So I'll tell you what's going on there, guys. We've got a thing in Ireland. We've got parts of West Belfast and London Derry as well, I'm sure, Derry, of rules on the wall of Palestinians, Hamas, you know. So there's a connection between the IRA and PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, who now is basically Hamas, you know what I mean? And they used Palestine for training camps because they felt they were in the same sort of boat, you know, Israel occupying Northern, Britain occupying Northern Ireland. So they had a common agenda, but obviously the agenda from the Irish was weapons and training, you know what I mean? The only other one was Gaddafi, you know what I mean? And so they got a lot of Semtex and like RPGs, Sam 7s, loads of arms from there, and there was training camps there. So IRA men used to go to Palestine and train at training camps with terrorists. Yeah, that's fact. I've always known that growing up. So there would have been a lot of IRA men on the other side yesterday, you know, supporting all refugees welcome, and that's why Sinn Féin have got the rhetoric and why they've got an open border policy, and how they're certainly not going to shut their doors to anybody from Islam, because Islam's been so good to them. Sorry guys, it's a wee bit windy at this bit. So yeah, skies are getting a bit cloudier, as you can see. Losing the blue, that will creep over this way slowly, and then it'll all be gone. So yeah, that's what's going on there. And on top of everything, guys, there's threats, intimidation, you know, from both sides to their community, not to be getting involved with these demonstrations. But the thing is, guys, you know, there's nobody there for them. I don't think people really understand how brave some of these women, because it's women, no men behind this, it's women behind these demos, guys.
Nobody's denying that. But we do not need thousands and thousands and thousands of unvetted, undocumented, illegal men adding to that. Because let's just face it, they don't have the same core values or morals as we do. And that has been proven time and time again. I have heard stories of girls being...
And I don't think you realise how brave these women are, you know.
Great time growing up here. I grew up here in the 80s and the 90s, and I get that there was still stuff going on, but we were cracking schools. We were out playing on the streets. You know, I seen something today, and I think I was in London, and they're talking about taking Easter out of a primary school. What is that about, guys? Who?
There's one right there, scratching his head because there's nothing to do. Peaceful protest.
We had great fun and great memories of doing things like that. You know, I didn't go to university. Our government, through our education system, told me I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough, and that I was never going to make it in the world, and that only people that went to university were going to make it because they were better than me. They had more money than me. They were smarter and they were more worthy.
Now you've gone to unite in Ireland together.
Isn't she brilliant?
What they're actually doing to try and bring awareness in Northern Ireland, what they're trying to do before they go, Generation Xers, trying to leave a stable economy and a stable environment for their children and their communities, you know. And they're horrified of what they're seeing. They're horrified of the way the governments are behaving. So, you know, what's the way forward? Well, the way forward, guys, when other patriots decide to see Northern Ireland has like a sister or a brother and start announcing these demos and start getting behind these people, then maybe more people would come out. You know, there's some influences out there that if we were to push these demos on their platforms like a week or 2 weeks coming up, get people on who's organised the demos, interview them, find out what makes them tick, you know what I mean? That would do so much good, because then people wouldn't be afraid. You know, people, you've only got one voice right now, guys, and that's the intimidation voice. That's all these people have. I'm sorry if the sound's coming and going, but there's nobody else there pushing anything positive for them. There's nobody at all. You know, they're having to do everything themselves on TikTok, and everybody's love-hearting it and leaving thousands and thousands and thousands of comments and support. But they've all got fake accounts. You know, that's where you see the truth, how the public truly feel, and this is what I see. But there's thousands upon thousands of comments all the time, and anybody's platform that's pushing for unity and peace in Northern Ireland. You know, nothing else, just a unity of human beings, Christians coming together for a common goal. You can go back to your old areas later on. You don't have to come into a loyalist area, and you don't have to go into a Republican area. You know, our Christianity's on the thread, guys. You know, big time. I mean, and I know, you know, these organisations and that, they prefer to be part of Christianity, and Christianity is a big part of their cause. You know, I don't know where that comes into with the IRA when they work with Palestinians. I can't get my head around that one, like, but that's for them to sort out in a later date with when their loved ones are looking back, going, what was all that about? Because they will. Your young ones, your grandchildren will all look back and go, what was all that about? When 20 and 30 years time, down to something like that, and ISIS and Iraq and Syria, and you get caught up in one of them things, you're a goner. They're not interested in IRA and UVF and UDA and, you know, the 6 counties and your struggles in Ireland. They're not interested in none of that. It's gone. It's just like every other Christian, every Protestant, and from all around the world, all different religions, Sunnis and Shiites, and, well, maybe not so that much, but, you know, Jews, Sikhs, all gone. You're just going. You're rolling with that, like, you're rolling with that crew. You know, no two ways about it. And yeah, and that's the sad truth of it all. You know what I mean? And you know, all these things are going to come out in Revelations. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. No, you would rather put religion, bigotry, and a bit of ground over your future grandchildren and children, and your future. You know, what good is your cause when there's nobody there to hear it anymore? It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. I don't know, but you need to look inside yourselves and ask what's driving you. Have a look at your children. Have a look at your grandchildren, because they'll be having children too soon. You know, when you're not here, you know, they're still here, guys. They will still be here, living the dream that you left them. I'm Freedom Dad, going live tonight, guys, 6:30. This is for this afternoon. Hope you're all good. God bless every single one of you.